Welcome to the first episode of TezTalks Radio this year. I'm your host, Marissa True, and today we are joined by an old friend of mine, Diane Drubay. Diane Drubay is the founder of We Are Museums, a community of practitioners who support new ideas through change management programs, shared resources, original research, and collaborative networks. Previously, she was Tezos' head of arts and culture, so has a deep knowledge and understanding of the creator community on Tezos. So, hi, Diane. It's been a while, but how are you today?
Hello, it's such a pleasure to be here. I've been following your TED Talks for months now, and I'm super happy that I can finally be here.
Yeah, because you and I actually have a lot of history together. We worked on, Tezos and Art Basel mainly back in 2022. And I actually want to use that as a launch point because I want to go deeper into your history and basically hear the origin story of how you started in the art world and then how you bridged that into Web3.
I have different hats, which is what I feel something that a lot of people are having in today's society. So I'm having my hat as founder of We Are Museums. So I've been working for museums or with museums all my life. So this is my career, helping museums adopt innovation, might it be social, environmental, or technological innovation. On top of that, I'm also an artist focusing on environmental art and using video art, photography, and digital art to express my views and thoughts. And basically, I've been curious about blockchain for a while, trying to explore how blockchain technologies can be used by museums back in 2019 and 2018. But then really quickly, we understood that it was not the right time for museums to jump in blockchain technology. So we kind of decided to not go too far in our research after 1 year of exploration. And I just, we launched another program, which was called Museums Facing Extinction. So really focusing on the ecological transition of museums. But at the same time, in 2021, as an artist, I started to discover Hiket Nunk. So Hiket Nunk is this highly cherished platform in the Tezos community. And when I discovered it, I actually felt that the value system that was really supported by the community and by its founder was really similar to my value system and also similar to museum's value system. So we were talking about diversity, inclusion, horizontality. We're talking about trying to embrace different types of people, model, organizations. So it was really this huge diversity, which was, not imposing any kind of rules or any kind of mindset, but just embracing the others. And Hiket Nunk was just fabulous. Like it was this huge, highway of creativity and meeting new artists. And it became a little bit like an addiction, to be honest. Like it took a lot of my time. I spent hours and days on it trying to, mint and understand what I can mint next and talk to people. And then I became really involved in the Hiket Nunk community. With other people, we started to kick off a big hackathon that I co-produced, and this took also a lot of time, but it really came from such a strong passion and desire to see something really beautiful popping up that it was okay. I was like, you know what, it's fine. I can just slow down in everything else that I'm doing. I want to focus on that. And I took a lot of time. During the summer 2021, I also applied to join a big big hackathon organized by Gitcoin about DAOs. So all of a sudden I started to spend 6-7 months only on Hiket Nunk and DAOs and blockchain and my artistic practice, something totally new. Before I was kind of always struggling. I didn't want to put my art on Instagram or these kind of things. and the traditional art market was also not really for me. So I kind of find my family there. And I became so passionate about it that I started to approach the Tezos entity of the Tezos Foundation based in Berlin, where I'm also based. And I suggested them that I approached them so we could collaborate on a training program for museums. To be honest, I just wanted to do something. I wanted to be closer to the community, do even more. And that's how the WAC Lab, Web3 for the Art and Culture, this big laboratory that we initiated in 2021, was born. I basically knocked at the door of TZ Connect back at the time, because we were working in the same co-working space in Berlin. And then I was like, okay, let's try to do something. This collaboration and our discussions were so good and inspiring that we actually ended up not doing only WAC Lab together, but they hired me and they gave me this really challenging and exciting mission to shape what could be the art ecosystem of Tezos and the arts and culture strategy. So because I was so close to the community, because I did so much also for the hackathon and everything else, it was just like a dream job, to be honest. So yeah, that's how everything started.
It's amazing how Hicket Nunk served as a gateway to so many creatives who were sort of looking for a place for their art. And it was this start point because it just had this really fiery and passionate community. And it was so alluring that I think everyone sort of fell into the rabbit hole from there. It was very difficult to pull away just because you were looking at this huge pool of creativity. And every single time you'd refresh the page, there would be more. Like I remembered feeling like it was kind of like scrolling through my Tumblr dashboard back in the day and just being sort of constantly wowed by the level of creativity that was on there. And I think that sort of coupled with the serendipity of you having to share a co-working space with TZ Connect, the organization you eventually ended up joining, is amazing. But when we look back at that time in 2021, which was sort of the peak of the NFT hype craze, a lot has changed. These industries have matured a lot, and also the art world has matured quite a lot. So, just from where you sit as an artist and as a person who is very well versed and well connected with the Web3 art space, what are some of the main things you observe now that you feel are really different to before?
It's not easy to say because I think that a lot of people and places and structures that we loved to meet and use have disappeared. So since 2021, we saw the space changing drastically. And it feels like every 3 months there is a new wave of people changing. I won't say leaving, I will say changing. So, they change, the way they approach the space, they change the way they communicate, or the ways they create. I see, but today we are at a stage where we are trying to find again something which is missing on our daily basis. Like, let's be honest, a lot of people left, but a lot of people came as well. The community it's difficult to talk about that, but it's in a constant movement, I'll say. And just trying to find a way to stay and trying to find a way to stay connected to each other. There is still this benevolence, but it's harder to find because people have been also going through, well, the winter is hard. It's even harder than the winter in Berlin. We have like -7 today, but like the crypto winter is harder, colder. So we are all trying to. And these communities, the Tezos community is all about warmth. It's all about being together. It's all about, this sense of togetherness. So we are all really trying to find these connections again, all trying to, find again what we kind of lost for the past few months. And I feel, well, I don't know, I'm just talking for myself, but I'm really staying comfy in my little corner. I have this tiny bubble, and I feel comfortable there. I'm not going too far. I try to keep this bubble, and to enjoy it. And for instance, Object just released this new feature, curation feature. This was a lot of fun to work with it. This is my bubble. It's safe. We are experimenting. It's all about supporting each other, and finding new ways to explore artworks, to explore the artistic community that we are in, and that's it. That's really it. I think we try to go away from all the rest currently. But again, I'm talking from my own perspective where I try to stay safe, I would say.
Sure. And I completely agree with you that I think the crypto winter was very tough for a lot of people within the community, because I think there was this trope of, oh, bears are for building. And so sort of there was this assumption that you should stay dedicated to the task, like everyone should still be there no matter how hard it was. But what people underestimated was the level of personal challenge that people were facing when it came to their own financial welfare and stability, and just not being able to participate in the way that perhaps they would have wanted to, should their situations be slightly different. So I think it was a really, really tough time. And I think you weren't the only person to sort of retract and then shelter a little bit and use that time to experiment, but never to really depart from the technology. I think what's
Exactly.
beautiful of, as we see the market recovery in a way, is the fact that all of the familiar faces are coming back. There's very few people who fully departed the ecosystem. They just laid low for quite a while. And so when we look into this experimentation, I think that's a wonderful way for us to segue more into WAC, the Web3 for Arts and Culture, as an innovation lab. And can you tell us more about how WAC does spur this innovation? How does the program work?
Yeah. Before talking about work, I was just thinking as well. This community lately has been focusing on meeting in real life, and we created huge, strong in-person memories. And the community also has been focusing on creating physical artworks and creating physical exhibitions. And I think that's also how we retracted, as you said. But yeah, less on stage, but more, in real life, in our physical life.
I think what was always remarkable when, the ecosystem was at its healthiest and we were still dealing with the bull run, so everyone was excited, was that there was always this offline experience. The community would always meet for dinner, literally
Mm-hmm.
just sat around a table and everyone connecting. And I think it was a beautiful thing that, again, like the community maybe disappeared online, but it never disappeared offline. And I think that's a kind of value that doesn't exist everywhere. And it did within like the Web3 art community, particularly on Tezos. And I think it's worth just emphasizing how beautiful that is, because I don't think you get that everywhere. Because there were so
Yeah,
many just
totally.
amazing, friendly, creative people. But yeah.
Well, NFT Paris is coming up very soon in February in Paris, and Bright Moments Paris at the same time. And people are starting to reach out, asking, "Hey, will you be there? Let's organize a dinner. Let's organize a museum visit. Let's organize something." And last October, during Paris Plus, we organized this beautiful visit at the Musée d'Orsay with some NFT collectors and NFT artists, and this was so memorable. It was a really unique moment. So I can't wait to do the same in February. I feel that every 3 months we are meeting. So it's the bonds are still very, very strong, but less online, as you said.
Mhm. Mhm. So anyway, back to WAC. Can you tell me more about how the program?
Yeah. So WAC means Web3 for the Art and Culture, so WAC. And we are basically having a program which is a multi-month program dedicated to the art and culture, and especially to museums and cultural institutions The program is divided into 3 parts. The first one is this like big, generous door where everyone can push it easily every week. And it's called WAC Weekly. So it's online discussions about the latest news of Web3 for museums. And we are publishing summaries on Medium every week. It's a really honest discussion that people can have. It's not about showing off. It's not about praising a new product or a new project. It's about, okay, do we think that it's good? Or how can you make it better? Or this reminds me too much of this other project. We are just trying to have some kind of critical thinking while looking at all this news. So this is quite good, happening since 2021 now, every Wednesday, and we work in seasons, and the season lasts 9 months approximately. And after WAC Weekly, we have WAC Museums, which is our training program. So it's upon application only, and the open call for application is currently ongoing until the 22 of January, and it's really dedicated to museums team. So it's a training which lasts 6 weeks. It's a free of charge training, and basically every week museum teams can have access to small recorded videos and 2 hours of meeting and AMA and workshops and different things. So there we are talking about blockchain technology, but also understanding the origins of blockchain, the ethics and the culture. We are talking about most of the use cases of blockchain technology for museums and cultural institutions. We are talking about AI and generative AI and how museums can use it. We are talking about immersive technologies. And we are also talking about ethical considerations. So when it comes to AI and Web3, we will be talking about intellectual property. We will be talking about environmental impact and legal considerations as well. But to be brief, WAC Museums, it's really about equipping museums with the right tools so they can have their own critical thinking and, just being able to identify if something is scammy or if something is actually having a good potential for their own museum and could really serve their museum's mission. So that's the second part. And then we have the third part, which is, to my mind, even the most interesting, because it's all about experimenting and adopting these new technologies. So it's really about, doing it, not just learning and criticizing, but really trying. And it's called WAC Factory. It lasts 4 weeks, and we are basically we will be opening very soon a call for tech integrators. And basically during these 4 weeks, we will match a tech integrator with a museum team, and they will work on a project. Might it be live minting, exhibition, collection, acquiring NFT-based artworks, or it could be new loyalty program, so many different things, DAO, curation DAOs, etc.
Okay, so you have 2 core pillars, one of which is very education focused, and I think people underestimate how important that is, but it is the biggest barrier to entry when it comes to how institutions integrate any of this kind of technology, because as you said, there are a lot of sketchy projects out there, and being able to tell the difference is probably hugely valuable. And then you have the execution pillar, which is very much, okay, now let's help you put this all into practice, which again is a very valuable exercise, because sometimes applying the technical knowledge to the technical execution are 2 very different exercises. So having an institution to, I guess, handhold that procedure in a way is a lot more than many other industries have, who are often experimenting in the dark. With so many different art institutions to focus in on, why museums in particular?
Well, to be fully honest, I've been working all my life for museums, so I'm not really thinking about something else. And we are museums, it's a really, really broad and global community of museum professionals. So it's really not easy, but it's really natural for us to focus on museums. Also, before having our research labs, such as WAC, we were running international conferences about the future of museums, and we've done that for a few years, gathering a lot of museum professionals from all around the globe. So yeah, we've been guiding museums through change and adopting new technologies and different kind of innovation. Yeah, since ever, kind of. But then WAC is also not only about museums. It's also open to foundations, private foundations. It's also open to to national libraries. So as soon as they have a collection, and they welcome audiences, we consider their application. So it's a really broad definition of what is a museum today, to be honest.
Okay, so museums essentially served as a starting point, but the network that's actually curious about this technology and how to implement it is a lot more diverse than that. So again, as this organization was conceived of and launched a few years ago, and then a lot has changed between then and now, what are sort of the challenges and opportunities that you currently see that make most sense for these sorts of institutions to be pursuing?
Well, we have three areas of research among this program called WAC Lab. It's about new source of revenues. So obviously, state fundings for museums are decreasing drastically for the past few years. So finding new source of revenue is something which is really crucial. And obviously we can explore that with blockchain technology. And then it's also about understanding the social and environmental impact of a museum. So it's all about social justice, environmental justice, and how museum projects can use blockchain technology to support these causes. And this is a little bit tricky because, we know that when we talk about blockchain, a lot of people are thinking that it's actually not good for the environment. And yes, it is not, but so many other industries are also not good for the environment. And actually, when we think about it, Ethereum, which is which is having this huge infrastructure, actually became greener in the middle of this big NFT rise. So there is not so many examples of industries which could really shift toward greener solutions. Not so fast because they definitely took their time, but today, I would say today it's really difficult to find industries really doing such a drastic move. So yeah, that's the two. And then I think I'm just forgetting about the last one. But yeah, it's a new source of revenue, social and environmental impact. And also, and that's it actually, social good, environmental justice, and new economic models. So that's really what we are trying to trigger thanks to this lab.
So I think basically what you're saying is that there are three sort of core pillars that underpin the main challenges and opportunities that these institutions can embrace blockchain technology for. And as you mentioned, a lot of your work is also very, very much impact focused. You're focused on sustainability, inclusivity, social and environmental justice. So what are what are some of the main ways that you have seen where Web3 museums, other institutions can actually come and work together to create healthier spaces? Because there has been a lot of talk about the Web3 world being an unhealthy space. So how do we cultivate this health? Like, how do we bring this sort of balance and inclusivity into the space?
Well, I think it's all about understanding that we should all explore, and there is not, one player which should not explore. Everyone should start by exploring and experimenting, and museums are exactly the same. So, for instance, talking about the Musée d'Orsay, they were part of the second cohort. So last year season at WAC, and they wanted to explore with so many different ways. But then during WAC Factory, they started to implement something. They started with a small project, which was this digital souvenir. So it's still ongoing at the Musée d'Orsay, part of the Van Gogh exhibition. And they basically wanted to find something simple, but something which was already well known by the museum's team, meaning merchandising and souvenirs. So they just tweaked this idea of a souvenir and made it on, Web3 friendly. But it's also the beginning of on-chain loyalty program. So yeah, what I want to say basically is that everyone has to explore, and exploring is also showing some kind of, I would say, benevolence and some kind of, trying to be not too ego-centered, but just thinking that you might fail, but you have to explore to find something. Sorry, my answer is not so clear. But then, what is interesting with the Musée d'Orsay?
I understand. Go on, what were you saying? What is most interesting about Musée d'Orsay?
So yeah, first step, they decided to explore something really simple, and then this year, actually in February, they will release new projects. So it's really thinking that you can have an exploration and experimentation, which is having different hats, different heads, and different projects. So, but I know you've been inviting them already, so you've been interviewing them already in December. But yeah, it's trying to find a small step. It's always difficult, but it's the best way to go. Just a small, humble step.
Right. I like that because it's basically saying, don't bite off more than you can chew straight from the beginning. But by all of this steady experimentation and these incremental steps, you also provide a lot of access to these sorts of experiences to the everyday person, like the mainstream end user that crypto, I think, has not necessarily done a great job of making super accessible. So to have these institutions participate, suddenly there are much clearer paths into interacting with this technology, and it becomes a much more normal experience through all of those collective efforts.
Talking about collective and how we can actually inspire museums and the space to be more open and inclusive and collaborative. One project in particular is very inspiring to me, is the one made by the Institute for Sound and Music in Berlin. So they're still working on it and still finalizing it so they can officially talk about it and announce it. But they actually gathered a consortium of museums, and they want to explore and experiment with perpetual donation. So they will all together create a big project, and thanks to this project, they will be able to receive perpetual donation. So that's, to my mind, a beautiful project showing that museums should collaborate. Museums should get inspired by this Web3 collaboration and create very strong bonds between each other. And then together, because they are stronger, they can actually find financial independence, and trying to not think in terms of projects anymore, but trying to finally have this perpetual funding, which is constantly coming, and can make them think about have a sustainable development and evolution, basically. And I think this is, to my mind, the best example of a project which was really, truly getting inspired by the Web3 space and mindset and culture, and trying to translate it into the museum space. So I can't wait for them to finally release it. And yeah, behind it, it's basically trying to find new source of revenues. And hopefully they will also tackle the impact topic, but I'm not so sure. Let's see.
So again, it's an example of how the network and the community effect can basically help everyone go a lot farther if they know how to collaborate effectively. And you mentioned that, yes, we did speak to Musée d'Orsay back in December. It's amazing to hear that there's more plans into 2024. But what is on your 2024 agenda? What else is on your horizon that you are excited about?
Well, meeting more, having more meetings with the community. So yeah, NFT Paris in February will be amazing. Hopefully a big dinner with the community again. But then talking about WAC, we are, the open call is currently ongoing, and we actually received applications coming from everywhere, from India, from Turkey, from all around Europe, from Canada, the States. It's beautiful. And yeah, really inspiring. So I can't wait to review all the applications and finally reveal we will be part of the season 3. And then on a really personal level, I'm currently following a training in curating digital art because I want to be better at what I'm doing. And I'm having a big curatorial research on how environmental digital art can trigger climate action. So it's not just about raising awareness and changing perspective, but it's really about triggering in real life personal climate action. So that's a long research, but it's fascinating, and obviously it will be supporting all the NFT art space that we love and that are all about impact.
That's amazing. It's testament to this virtuous circle of education, spurring action, and then change, which is beautiful because that's what we need more of in this world. And for those of the viewers who are interested in learning more about WAC or learning more about We Are Museums, where can they find you?
Well, wearemuseums.com. We are very active on Twitter as well. WAC Lab. Yeah, the website is actually popping up quite easily if you search for it. And then yeah, Twitter always. Yeah, still on Twitter. Wondering for how long, but yeah, still on Twitter. A little bit on Blue Sky as well, but definitely.
Okay, well, great. Well, Diane, thank you so much for sharing your perspectives today. I know we had a bit of an uphill battle with some of the connection issues, but I think we got there in the end. And I'm sure it won't be too long before I see you at another community meetup. But until then, thank you again.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And I'm sure in a few months we will see each other in real life again.